Welcome to the Shyamcast. This is Brett.
This is Shyam.
Thanks so much for being here with us today. How are you today, Shyam?
I'm doing fine. Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We got
I
your
heard
internet,
about, huh?
or sorry, we got your internet speed up this
Yeah.
time, which is pretty exciting.
Hopefully. Yeah, and I heard you're writing a new book.
Oh, well, it's not really new, but
Yeah.
it's been a long time, yeah. But
Hopefully you'll publish it soon, maybe in few months.
yeah, let's hope so, Proji. Yeah, Christian willing. So today we're going to talk about continuing on in chapter three anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so we're going to talk about, I guess maybe setting a good example might be the theme, I suppose. But we'll probably touch on some different things, but there's a verse um just to get us started in chapter three. This is verse 321.
Hmm.
Krishna tells Arjuna,
Hmm.
whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So, what is the context around this verse, Prabhuji, that Krishna is saying? Talking about a great man sets an example, everyone follows, by his exemplary acts.
Hmm. So the context is again Krishna on the battlefield. And um, Lord Krishna, this is the chapter of Karma Yoga.
Hmm.
Karma Yoga is doing the things for the sake of pleasing the Lord. Then those particular activities don't bind us. Um, and for those who are self realized, they have no duty to perform, no obligation to perform. Then Arjuna may think, well, I think maybe I am self realized. Then I have no obligation, no duty to perform. So maybe I'm free then. Then Krishna says, but you should still do, you should still do your duty, even if you have no duty to perform because you are self realized.
Mm. So
That
a
is.
question then, Prabhuji, sorry, but just on the topic of someone who doesn't have a duty, basically, or someone who is self-realized not having a duty,
Mm,
um, maybe we can talk about that a little bit. I mean, I guess to me, like, we've talked in the past about the regulative principles being regulative principles of freedom, and how
mm,
when you give up attachment and, by sort of renouncing things that we're attached to, it leads to our freedom.
mm,
And so I guess that's what it makes me think of anyway. Like when one becomes totally free from their attachments,
mm,
um, then it's like there isn't any duty to perform,
mm,
because they're just like there isn't any attachment to it. They don't need anything, I guess. And so there just isn't like a need
mm.
for them to perform any action in the world. Um, but yeah, what would you say about that?
Well, like from based on our last week discussion, our duty is based on the modes. We discussed there is leader class, business class. So those who are transcendental or spiritual, self-realized, they are not in these modes.
Mm,
Like you were discussing, the karma is not based on like a 9 to 5 job, but it is really based on the nature and engaging that nature. And we will naturally be engaged in that nature because, yeah, it's natural. But when we engage in our nature, that's our duty because that's what we're impelled by. Then the only question remains is what I am, why should I, what do I want to achieve by engaging my nature? And if it is for the service of the Lord, then I'm doing my duty in the right direction. And that work will not bind me. Otherwise, my own nature will force me to work, and my own work will bind me in this world. So it's like infinite entanglement and no escape from it. So Krishna says you have to perform your duty. You cannot just not do your duty. But then for those who are self realized, There is no mode of passion, no mode of ignorance, no mode of goodness for them. Nature is based on the three modes. So now they are free. They're not obliged by the three modes to work in a particular direction.
Mm,
So free. So what do we do? Still do it to set a good example for others.
mm, mm. Yeah, so it's like they're not being forced to do anything, you might say,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
there's no like force acting on them to where they have to
Hmm.
fulfill this or that desire.
Hmm.
But yeah, like what Krishna is saying in this verse is that it's like even those who are sort of beyond the modes of nature,
Hmm.
who aren't forced to do anything, they still they sort of like they still act like they are in a way. You know, they
Hmm.
still kind of just do the same thing, but
Hmm.
basically they just set a good example of for everybody else
Hmm.
of you know, like this is what good behavior is. This is how, you know, like a good society is set up or whatever it might be. This is how a good parent acts. This is how a good
Hmm.
teacher, politician. This is how a good person in whatever profession we're working in acts.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
they just do it for that reason, right? To set an example.
Hmm. So I was thinking of the example of Duryodhan, Arjuna, and Krishna.
Hmm.
All are engaged in the warfare. Duryodhan is doing for his pleasure, but based on his nature.
Yeah, he wants that kingdom.
Arjun, huh?
He wants that kingdom.
He wants the kingdom, yeah, for his pleasure.
Yeah.
Arjuna is doing based on his nature for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna is also fighting, engaged in the warfare, but not based on his nature, just to set a good example for Arjuna and others to follow.
Mm.
So one is transcendental, one is karma yoga, and one is degradation.
Yeah. But like yeah, outwardly it appears as if they're all doing the same thing, all three of
Yeah,
them, right?
yeah, yeah.
And even you know, Krishna is even putting himself into like this position as like a servant of Arjuna or like, you know, he's the chariot driver of Arjuna. And so
Hmm.
he's just sort of like while like he's engaging in this war, but then I guess to add on top of it, he's also, you know, in a you might say a lower role or just like a position of service, you know,
Hmm.
to his
Hmm.
devotee. So um yeah, interesting. I know that this it comes up in this chapter, you know, within a few of these verses as well, where um, you know, it's like you expand out to, you know, think of Krishna and
Hmm.
like, you know, what duty would God have? Like what duty does,
Hmm.
you know, what duty does he have to the
Hmm.
world, to people? And, you know, says basically like, I mean, there's no real duty that I have to perform, you know,
Hmm.
like I'm not bound by anything.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, it's like it follows when we talk about how a person who's self-realized, a person who um, you know, attains enlightenment or some high level of spiritual like attainment, they're self-satisfied is how they're
Hmm.
described. And so like they don't need anything outside, right? They're totally satisfied just internally. And so obviously, you know, that's the nature of God as well, you know, to like to the highest extent. And so
Hmm.
what you know it's like what duty would God have if he's totally self-satisfied and
Hmm.
um you know he just describes like well I mean I still do all these things to set the right example for everybody you
Hmm.
know and
Hmm.
because also you know the world would sort of would be in a lot of turmoil if I didn't do these things you know
Hmm.
it's like if Krishna doesn't set the right example then nobody will act correctly right and then you know, things will, you know, there will be just more suffering in the world. Things will be bad. And so it's like he doesn't actually need to do it. He's not
Hmm.
bound to do it, but he chooses to do that.
Hmm. And think of if Arjuna did not fight, and then we glorify him as a devotee,
Hmm.
and he neglected his duty. Then we, who are not at the level of Arjuna, can say, well, Arjuna skipped his duty, so it's fine if I don't do my duties also.
Yeah, for sure. Krishna talks to him in the first chapter about honor. You know, he sort of
Mhm.
uses that as a way of motivating Arjuna. Like, you know, people are gonna talk about you, you're gonna lose your honor. What are people gonna say? But that takes it even to a deeper level, right? Where now in this third chapter, it's not really about your ego. It's not about your honor. It's,
Mm,
you know, it's what example are you setting for all the
mm,
future generations, you know, all the people who hear of this story. Is the conclusion going to be, and then Arjuna gave up and went off to the forest by himself? Or is it going to be that Arjuna fought in the battle and won? And
mm,
you know, like the right side, the good side won this war and took over the kingdom, you know.
mm, mm, mm. So what I remember, I was listening to a talk to Swayam Bhagwan, Keshav Maharaj, and Maharaj was mentioning that there was a survey done for devotees or those people coming to the temple and those who are interested in spiritual life. And the question was asked to them, what motivates you in your spiritual life? And they said, other people. And then another question asked was, what demotivates you in your spiritual life? And they said, other people. So it made me think that how important it is to set an example. Like, for example, in our, um, like we have Krishna House Project. So in our Krishna House Project, we have a morning meditation at 6 a.m. Those who are listening, and if they want to try, more than welcome to try. So Karakanta Prabhu, he's one of the spiritual master in ISKCON. And then he was mentioning, ideally, if somebody not coming for morning meditations, maybe they should don't they should not live in Krishna house if possible. He said, why? Because those who are living and those who wants to come will feel demotivated or nobody is coming.
Mm.
So it's like the whole environment should be then, if everyone is like, like encouraging each other, then it feels like a lot more involving and I want to do more and more and more. So that's very important to set a good example.
Yeah, I think we have the example recently of Brihat Mridanga Prabhu, who stayed at
Mm,
Krishna House for 3 weeks.
mm,
And, you know, during that time, I think there's a lot more like energy and excitement,
mm,
um, you know,
mm,
with a lot of the devotees around, you know, just
mm,
doing more, you know,
mm,
getting more excited, engaging
yeah.
in more service. I mean, yeah, really just, you know, it's like one person can make a big difference for sure.
Mm,
Just in the general attitude of things. I mean,
mm.
um, there's you know, like the ABC, is it ABC or is it ABCD?
ABCD, yeah.
ABCD of Bhakti. And the A is association, which is,
Mm. Mm.
you know, just the people.
Encourages, yeah. Someone is very sincere, everyone is encouraged.
Hmm.
So having a community of very enthusiastic souls really encourages everybody. Like I know one person, they were like, we have some community devotees who are like grihasthas, and they come morning 6 a.m. for morning meditation. So some were saying that it's so inspiring because I haven't seen such a commitment of God conscious people. There were some residents in the past. And they were like, these people are working, they have jobs, and they have children, and they have family,
Hmm.
and their commitment is like so high. So it's very motivating to see that example. And when they can do it, then why shouldn't I? So having a community which is having many good examples, then it's like then sincere people we want to follow. They're like, no, we want to do some more, we want to do some more. Now imagine a community where there are nobody setting good example. Then it's like, it's like lukewarm. Then nobody is more eager to do something more. So it's very important now. When we set good examples, we will be able to attract people who will set good examples also tomorrow. And that's what it says. Whatever great man does, common man follows. And that's how the common man becomes great man. And when they set a good example, Then those who are common men, they become great men. They set a good example. In this way, everybody will be saved and will progress.
Mm.
So it's so important. One, like Srila Prabhupada came, he was like motivated. So seeing him and his example, then people started following. And some became very sincere. And when they became sincere, then what they would do, others started following. And that's how the spirituality spreads, is by the setting a good example of one sincere devotee.
Mm. Yeah, sincerity is like contagious,
Mhm.
right? I think it's like we inherently understand that sincerity is a good thing, and
Mhm.
that, I guess putting your best effort towards things is
Mhm.
a good thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and even if it's very difficult for us, we're
Mhm.
weighed down by
Mhm.
modes of material nature. You might say we're weighed down by our different desires and um, our uh, distractedness, our laziness, whatever
Mhm.
specific malady, we have. But when you see one person who's very sincere and is sort of singularly focused, and is just encouraging everybody, you know,
Mhm.
um, making everybody happy just sort of by their presence, it's like we're naturally very drawn to that. It's like we just
Mhm.
understand
Mhm.
this is the right way to be. This is how I would
Mhm.
like to be if only I felt like I had the strength, if only I felt like I had the will. It's they
Mhm.
sort of instill that feeling in
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I guess that's significant to me, just that feeling is natural. It feels like the right thing
Mhm.
when you're exposed to
Mhm.
someone with a really sincere attitude. You feel like, yes, I really want to be sincere as well. That just feels like way more right than the sort of normal kind of mundane course of life.
Mhm.
That feels like really what I feel like I should be doing,
Mhm.
you know. Um, I can think, I'm thinking of some other examples too, just of like it's like everybody just it's like we really do understand sort of what is good or what is like right conduct,
Mhm.
but it's just like it's as if the world makes it difficult sometimes to do that, like to either be sincere or to do the right thing, you know. Um, like, for example, if there's like a group of kids and maybe one of the kids is sort of getting picked on a little bit. Some of the kids are like teasing, making fun. Um, all it really takes is one other kid to come in and say, "Okay, come on, let's knock that off. Like, he's fine. Look, let's just leave him alone." And by and large, when that happens, like it just stops.
Mhm.
Everyone just sort of gets it.
Mhm.
Nobody goes, no, no, it's the right thing for us to mock this kid and make this kid feel bad. And,
Mhm.
they just sort of understand even as children, like, yeah, it's the right thing to be nice to people. It's the right thing to treat people well. It's not a
Mhm.
very good, um, that we just understand that, kind of naturally.
Mhm.
But if that one, kid doesn't step in,
Mhm.
then the things sort of naturally kind of devolve, right? Or like the meanest kid then kind of wins out, and
Mhm.
sort of takes charge.
Mhm.
And so, it's very important really just in life, I guess, to for somebody, right? Somebody has
Mhm.
to be that sincere voice or that person who's going to stick up for someone or stick
Mhm.
up for the right thing to do.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, I mean, we see it everywhere in the world and
Mhm.
probably nowhere more than in our like politics in this country. Um, if there isn't that sincere, genuine voice who you really trust that they like their inner motivations are pure,
Mhm.
it just kind of starts devolving and then the meanest and rudest voice becomes the one that people listen to and the one who wins elections and things like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's a far-reaching principle. It's very important in all of
Mhm.
life. It can, and that many sincere voices out there,
Yeah.
right? So it's yeah, it's important for us to do that if we can.
As you were speaking, I was thinking this bad example is also very contagious.
Yeah.
Like Duryodhan, bad example. Everybody else started following him. So much loss of consciousness.
Mm,
And like the whole community society was. We recently went for this like outside for Sankirtan. For me, Harman Prabhu was there, Nadi Bihari Prabhu and Brihad Mridanga Prabhu, and few of us were there. And they had these things called balloons. So Harman Prabhu says, Prabhu, it's a tough crowd. I said, why they have balloons? They're selling balloons. It was a music concert.
mhm.
And actually, in the balloon, I mean, it was new to me. They have intoxicating gases. You heard that before?
In the balloons, maybe not. Like helium, like where it changes your
No,
voice,
they
or
have some
like
nitrous gas. Harun Prabhu was telling.
okay.
They are selling it for $10.
Mm,
And it's like some people are dancing and they're offering some balloon. So all you have to do is take the balloon in your mouth and then pinch the balloon again.
okay.
And then become high and eyes becomes red. And
Yeah.
then they are all going in this music concert. And everybody is like, each of them, they are giving balloons to each other. And everyone is like, I'm like Krishna. So it's like, uh, and then there are some of the devotees and they are telling people, read these books about meditation, finding inner peace and Krishna consciousness and the holiness. And when they like music, they will come and dance or they are intoxicated.
Mm,
So it's like, it's like a society. And there are not many um, like sincere, um, eager seekers. There is always a small percentage of them, and if they can assist and they themselves actually sincerity brings empowerment. If
mm,
we are sincere in our practice, then we will have some shakti that comes from Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, he quotes one verse. He says, um, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tar Pravartan, which basically means without Krishna Shakti, transforming somebody's life is not possible.
mm. What is Shakti, Prabhuji?
Shakti means without Krishna's potency. Transforming somebody's life is not possible.
Mm,
Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says how much one is advanced can be seen by how many lives one has touched positively, how much positive impact spiritually one has made in one's life. That much, through that, one can know one's advancement. How Prabhupada could do what he could do, like worldwide transformation,
mm.
because of Krishna Shakti.
Yeah, 12 years,
Mm.
starting 108 temples all over the world. Yeah, tens of thousands of devotees. Very short time.
Very
Writing
short.
so many books.
Mm. Even like devotees go out and give books now.
Hmm.
So when we speak a line, oh, these are books on spirituality, it will help you. So how much motivated will they be is also based on our potency.
Mm,
Like Brihadaranyaka Prabhu was mentioning, most important aspect of book distribution is our sadhana, our own spiritual practice. And I was driving, Prabhupada Priya Devi, she recently came. Then I told her about one devotee who started a meditation group in um, Muskegon. So then she said, "Oh, he got some shakti, he got some potency. If he can start a group." So that's how. So I was like, "Oh, very nice vision. That's how devotees see." So that's what our sincerity, our setting a good example is. That's why it's so important. One aspect is others will follow, but like good example, I'm telling. So what makes other follow is the potency of our own self, and that depends our own sincerity. What's your thoughts on
Mm.
that?
Yeah, I mean, we have to, you can't transfer faith unless you have it, right?
Mm,
You can't transfer enthusiasm unless you have it,
mm,
right? And so, it's like with spiritual practice, we gain potency, or
mm.
maybe another way of saying it is we become empowered actually,
Empowered,
right? We
yes.
become empowered uh to help others take on a spiritual practice as well.
Mm,
Yeah. So it always comes back to the sadhana though, right? Like, I mean,
mm,
in Krishna consciousness, people talk about very often how, the chanting is the most important thing, the meditation,
mm,
um, where you're trying to become absorbed.
mm, mm,
And, that is what everybody always comes back to, is like, this is the thing that then affects everything else. Like,
mm,
this is where the real progress comes.
mm,
This is where, if you're ever going to have any effect, it's
mm,
going to be because of how your meditation goes, basically,
mm,
right? How absorbed in the name can you be? And yeah, I guess that's what it makes me think of Prabhuji.
mm. Also, I've seen many people, many good souls, they want to become an instrument of change in this world. I've seen many people, Western youth, motivated, but they may not be able to bring a lot of positive changes.
Mm.
But I've seen people who have their own spiritual practices, because actually real change in the world, like His Holiness Sadhana Swami Maharaj says, real change in the world comes from within the heart. Our change, when we change internally, it will manifest in the external changes also in the world. Anything we do will bring a change. But many people want to become an instrument of change, but then they are not doing something tangible for their own change. And they feel like, I'm good, I'm positive, and I just need to help others. But then where does the potency come? See, in order to bring a change, we need to give. Where do we receive something that we are giving?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. That really makes a lot of sense to me, Prabhuji. A lot of people who really have good intention and
Mm,
really want to make a difference, want to make a positive impact on things, but oftentimes there is s- an attitude of, I don't need to change anything myself, or maybe like, oh, if only people would just listen to me,
mm,
then everything would be good. Um, but yeah, like I mean, there's no humility in that attitude, and
mm,
it's unrealistic as well.
mm,
It's
mm,
um, I guess if we have that attitude that everything about what we think and how we act and what we believe is totally
mm,
perfect,
mm,
um, then we should be affecting lots of people, right? Like we should just be
mm,
getting people to line up out the door trying to hear from us, right? But if that's not happening, then um, maybe there needs to be some more inner work
mm,
done. There's got to be more of a focus on
mm,
our intention,
mm,
you know, on really improving our inner state, yeah,
mm,
before trying to affect externals. I mean, it's very difficult, right? Especially in the world where all that really gets talked about is external things.
mm,
You read the newspaper. I don't know who reads the newspaper
mm,
anymore. I see the newspaper because at my job we have newspapers. Um, or like you watch the news, or you get on social media and on TikTok or whatever and see little updates. Um, all we get is, this terrible thing happened, or so and so said this, or these two people are in an argument, or whatever it is, and it's all external stuff. And so
mm,
it's very easy for us to just say, well, I wish those external things would change, right? It's like we understand maybe this isn't a very good situation,
mm,
um, but it just is like, well, they should just act differently, might be
mm,
our reaction,
mm,
just, well, so and so shouldn't have said that, or so and so should do this.
mm,
And so, that's sort of it. That's how it kind
mm,
of how we say this is the conclusion that I have come to, that, but that's all external stuff,
Hmm.
right? And so um, if we work more on our own internal state,
Hmm.
we kind of start to see things differently. We might go, oh, this is not such a good situation. There's nothing I can really do about maybe this one situation from the news.
Hmm.
Um, but if I work on my own internal state, then the people who I'm around can
Hmm.
hopefully be affected
Hmm.
positively.
Hmm.
And it really just takes more people doing that,
Hmm.
to, I guess, to have a broader change in all these external things that we're all hoping will happen, right? But
Hmm.
it has to start with individual people, doing the
Hmm.
work on themselves.
Hmm.
And I suppose one of the positive points to take away from this is that it's not like it has to be a majority of people who start
Hmm.
out by doing this, right? I
Hmm.
mean, like Krishna says, one great person
Hmm.
sets the
Hmm.
example with their acts, and then
Hmm.
everybody follows.
Hmm.
That's how it goes. And
Hmm.
so it just takes a few people to
Hmm.
really do the inner work, to really, um, get their intentions set,
Hmm.
focused
Hmm.
on a correct goal.
Hmm.
And, they just sort of naturally become the type of person who other people want to emulate.
Hmm. That's also because Krishna is sitting in the heart of all living entities. And when we have a relationship with Krishna, then Krishna in their heart will inspire them. Listen. And when they are empowered by Krishna's potency to listen, then every word Krishna gives us the word to speak, Krishna makes them listen, and Krishna resonates within their heart the words that Krishna speaks through us, and there is a connection. That service to Krishna is a privilege, and Krishna does not engage anyone and everyone in his service, but Krishna chooses, and that's based on the investment in that relationship with Krishna.
Mm.
So there are two kinds of people. One are called in Sanskrit, one are called Bhajananandis, and one are called Ghoshtianandis. Have you heard about these terms sometime before?
I think
Probably.
so. Yeah.
Uh,
Could you? Yeah. So
so
bhajan.
uh,
Yeah. Go ahead.
bhajan means our spiritual practices, and Bhajananandi means Anand means pleasure. And we say Satchit Ananda.
Mhm.
Ananda is divinity, pleasure, bliss. So Bhajananandi, they find pleasure only in their spiritual practices. Ghoshtianandi, they find pleasure in reaching out to others and sharing this positive message with others. And the effective Ghoshtianandi are good Bhajananandis, or those who are effective in reaching out to others or bring a positive change in the society, are those who have a solid spiritual practice.
Mm. So it's sort of like one is required for the other.
Yes. Otherwise, the potency won't be there. Then, even if we prepare the best words, speak the best words, the most logical things, it will, what is the difference between are those who practice spirituality when they speak and those who have the knowledge they speak but no practice? What is the difference between them? So the difference is that transformation won't be there, but okay, now I'll try to explain. Somebody who is not practicing when they speak, the other person intellect will hear and they will say, very nice. Yeah, you got points, sir. I like you very much. And then they go back and they will still keep doing the same things.
Mm.
The transformation may not be there, although they may like what we speak.
Mm.
But those who are empowered when they speak, it will make them like, it will go right to the heart and they will change their activities. They will give up certain things that is not favorable for them. Their life will be positively transformed. It's not just an, so many people hear so many good things now, so many TED Talks, so many, so much good stuff is there, so many good books, but how much transformation? How many people change their life positively from that, like in a spiritual way? There may be some little bit here and there based on their Shakti. How much potency they have, that much transformation. How Srila Prabhupada could transform. They are like hippies and balloons and then they are today pure devotees, initiating so many, like Radhanath Maharaj, so many, Malati Prabhu, Kalakanta Prabhu, and they owe their life in gratitude. How much, I mean, the transformation. Jayapataka Swami, there's so many actually.
Mm,
Today in ISKCON, most of the spiritual masters are from the Western body actually, because those were the people that Prabhupada had that time.
mm.
See,
Right,
most
yeah. Because
most from the West.
he
Hmm.
started in America. Yeah.
That's why there is a need today to reach out to all diverse people.
Mm,
So tomorrow they will become leaders.
mm. Yeah, I guess when you think about it, even just having an effect like that on one person is quite a big deal.
Ah,
I mean, to actually for somebody to instill a conviction in you
mm,
to to make some big change or to really go forward with something, I mean, you have to really like believe in
mm,
that person, you
mm,
know, that not only do they know what they're talking about, but that they've lived it, they have the experience like um I mean, what I guess an example sort of from the world that comes to mind is like, if you have a college professor, um a college professor who has the actual experience of working in that field
mm,
is going to be able to teach a lot more effectively than
mm,
someone who maybe has, say, only been in academia their whole career and is very good at teaching
mm,
principles, knows a lot of they know the subject matter, but if they don't have that experience of really living that,
mm,
what is it like to really like take all this theoretical knowledge and work in this field, in the real world. And somebody with that knowledge is really going to be able to transfer, their understanding. And like the student, as a student, you just inherently know that this person really knows what they're talking about, you know.
mm, mm,
And you definitely get that when you have a senior devotee come and speak.
mm,
Um, if you when you really hear their words, it's not as if they're saying things that are too different from what any other devotee would say.
mm,
You
mm,
know,
mm,
they're not bringing out a bunch of new terms. They're not giving you new information that you hadn't heard before. Um, and this is like how Krishna talks about a self-realized person is still doing the same things that anybody else would do, right? They're still just they're doing the same type of work, but just, with a much deeper understanding.
mm,
Um, and so, these devotees speak to us, the message just comes through, they get done speaking, you feel very uplifted. You
mm,
feel you feel as much conviction as they have.
mm,
You really do. And so they get done speaking and the crowd is like energized, and then everybody gets up and everybody wants to start helping out doing service or
mm,
the kirtan afterward is
mm,
just much more jubilant than
mm.
at some other time.
Normal.
Yeah, than normal. And it's yeah, it just kind of happens, but it's so nice that it makes everybody it's sort of that one thing just motivates everybody, to
Mm.
try to do more themselves.
I have seen many Indian parents. I have seen they come to us and they say, "Do you have something for your kids? Something for our kids. We want to give this Vedic knowledge, this culture, this spirituality to our kids." And their kids take it up. Their kids come and then it's a little struggle. And most of the times they go away and they remain the same actually. But then we have seen those parents who are practicing. Their kids are like fire in their spiritual life.
Mm,
So when parents are setting good example, the kids are awesome many times. But then parents are not setting good example. They want only the kids, but not for them. We are said our kids should be like that. Doesn't work out. So we tell them change should come from home. First you change. And then when what you have, they will naturally follow what you have. You will be able to give them what you have.
Mm. Very nice, Roji. Yeah, good aspiration for sure.
Mm. So and it takes time, bro. To develop that potency takes time. Even though we may be trying very hard, still it takes time, bro.
Yeah. It helps to just accept it. I mean, you can only give what you have, right?
Mm.
I guess to not try to extend yourself or your influence any more than what you can, right? It's just like this is where I am, this is what I have to give, and hopefully that reaches someone. But I guess it's not really about the results, right? Which is the point. A lot of it's like what Krishna is
Mm.
telling Arjuna.
Mm.
It's not about the results. You don't need to be attached to that. It's you just do your duty, do the best you can do, and like let me take care of everything else, right?
Mm. And that's kind of our sadhana that will increase our potency later on.
Mm.
If we keep doing what we are doing, and even if we do ineffectively, we give out spiritual life ineffectively, we speak ineffectively, we read ineffectively, we chant ineffectively, we do everything and we are not efficient at anything we do. But that itself will make us effective tomorrow. But if you're not doing those things, then there is no way out. There is no tomorrow. Then it's the same for lifetimes.
I was just gonna say that was very hopeful, but yeah, no, it's I mean it's the reality, right? We have to make that effort, So we're kind of just going around on the wheel, but um, yeah, once we really start putting that effort in, I mean, you do start seeing results as you go along, right? And
In
um,
my experience, in the beginning, there are many ups and downs. And
mm,
then I would like in my chanting experience, 1 round to 4 round to 8 round to 16 rounds to 1 round. And devotees are telling 3 years and you are still on 1 round. And I'm like, I guess very sinful from the past. It's just coming out of what I have done in the past. And then no matter who we are, slowly, slowly, it just catches fire. If not today, tomorrow, just be in that. If you're around the fire, even if you're wet wood, it will dry out sometime and then it catch fire, even if you are wet.
mm, yeah, that's a very nice image to end on, I think, Roji. Yeah, we're all like, there's a lot of us wet logs out there, but yeah, just stick by the fire, right? And yeah, that heat will eventually transfer over.
To dry us out. So first, that's why it's first we become free from whatever reactions there may be in the past. And then we just have to be in that contact with the fire. Otherwise, it's not gonna, if you put more water and stay in the river of material existence, ocean of material existence, never gonna dry. Nobody dries being in the middle of an ocean of material existence.
Mm, mm, yeah. Well, thank you, Roji. Yeah, hopefully your fire can help
No
dry me out a little
potency,
bit.
bro. But everything we do will help us to increase our purity. What we are discussing, 0.001% improvement. Then we do some other service. When we chant in the morning. Yes, we may have no potency, but then this is the only way to get there, to become pure. We may have no purity. That's how we become pure, and that's what sincerity means. Try your best.
Mm.
Is there any way out?
Is there any way out?
Is there any other way to attain purity rather than by trying to become pure?
No, no. I mean, yeah, you have to. It's tough to try to be sincere, because especially sometimes I guess, you might realize, wow, I'm not really used to being sincere all the time, at least, you know. And so you have to, there's like, I guess a period, maybe a long period where you sort of realize that, and like, um, you have to go through a lot of insincerity to become sincere, you
Mm,
know. But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, it's like, Paramatma, super soul, is in the heart
mm,
of
mm,
every entity.
mm,
And, it's like that voice is there, maybe very, very quiet right now. There's so many other things going on in the mind, but it's there to lead us. We do have this inherent understanding deep inside of what is a good thing to be doing, what is
mm,
a right thing, what's the right direction to go into. Um, it's obviously it's all about, when we listen to that voice, we start treating people well, we start treating ourselves well, we do things that are healthy, we try to help other people, we try to um, get other people onto a path that is
mm,
also healthy and helpful for others, and happy. Uh,
mm,
that's just like it's the natural state
mm,
of who we are, that we're really, that we're trying to get back to. Um,
mm,
but a lot of us are just not in that place,
mm,
currently as we stand. And so there's some difficulty, there's some awkwardness, there's a lot of
mm,
things we have to admit, like, okay, I'm not totally sincere right now. I'm just, or I'm not, I don't have a lot of conviction right now.
mm,
Whatever it is. Yeah, I have a bunch of unhealthy habits that, would be helpful for me to stop doing. But instead of, I guess, getting into a negative frame of mind about it, beating ourselves up,
mm,
you try to just keep adding positive things into your
mm.
life, you know.
Excellent.
Yeah. Find good friends, find good practices. Um, just get influenced by happy people and you'll become happy.
Mm. So there is some angle of Krishna that we are inclined to. Some angle of Krishna we may be very difficult. है ना? That one angle of Krishna that we are inclined to keep that, keep that on, keep that on, keep that on. Then one more angle will add, one more angle will add. And the person who has infinite patience is Krishna. Infinite patience.
Mm.
He never become impatient with us. Yeah, I'm trying so hard on you. Why don't you change? Never. Never actually. But one way Krishna helps is when somebody deviates and sets a bad example, then Krishna brings punishment. That punishment helps them to turn to, and then Krishna, after Krishna sees my devotee is struggling, Krishna knows why my devotee is struggling. And then Krishna gives inspiration amidst that, amidst of the heat of this existence. Then Krishna says, why don't you try this? Why don't you turn towards me? And then the devotee thinks, yeah, this is too much. I really have to turn towards Krishna. And Krishna is so wonderful that all difficult scenarios, Krishna helps us to turn towards him.
Mm.
Krishna just keeps looking for opportunities to bring us towards him, brings us towards him, brings us towards.
Mm. So I guess this is, part of the explanation, if you ask the question like why do difficult things happen, or like why
Mm.
is life so hard? Why 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 do these things happen to me, to us? You know, I mean that's really part of a big part of the answer, right? It's like, I mean, everything is sort of like there's an opportunity
Mm.
to see the positive side, or there's an
Yeah.
opportunity to turn towards God in each situation. And there's a lot of circumstances in different scriptures where, there's a lot of really difficult circumstances befall some people. Even, they go through some tragedies, a lot of difficult things happen to them, but they see it as an opportunity to turn towards Krishna.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
Mother Kunti in the first chapter or
Mm.
first canto of Bhagavatam, it's like
Mm.
asks Krishna, it's like, please keep these calamities coming so I can keep turning towards you. Um, And yeah, because I guess, when you think about it, it's like, how else are we going to do it? What sometimes what needs to happen is a big difficulty in life, right? Or, I mean, it's like, I guess you could call it a punishment. Um,
Mhm.
it's a thing which like, okay, well, if you do something that's sort of contrary to a good principle, there's a law of karma, like there's going to be a reaction, something not so good is
Mhm.
going to happen. And if you can
Mhm.
kind of see that, like, oh, something bad happened to me. And if I can think about it as, maybe this has something to do with me.
Mhm.
Maybe this has something to do with what I did. Um, Rather than blaming somebody else or blaming the situation, um, if we can just see that, maybe that, a little bit, let that humility in, even though it's very difficult, like real humility, but just let it in a little bit, I mean, it goes a long way anyway, right? And you kind of start to see that, everything that happens to us in our lives has the potential to bring us closer, right, to
Mhm.
our spiritual identity.
See, life is full of choices. Every moment we make choices. Some of our choices are favorable to Krishna. Krishna says, all right, come. Some of our choices are not favorable. Then, in those unfavorable choices we make, Krishna still makes the situation in such a way that he will make his devotee turn towards him. Even in unfavorable choices, the devotee comes out becoming more favorable to Krishna.
Mhm.
But a little bit suffering may be there in those choices. But the outcome, Krishna again turns his devotees towards him. Krishna
Mhm.
is the one who can make favorable and unfavorable choices of his devotees to keep bringing them to closer to Krishna.
Mhm. Trying to think of, an example, Prabhuji, where to that point, if we have a bad habit, we just sort of can't seem to kick the bad habit, but we're also trying to engage in some spiritual practice, if you go through a point where it's like you just engage in that bad habit, like a bunch of like more than normal, it's just like it takes over the mind, and there's a lot of suffering that goes along with that. You come out of it, you can have a greater appreciation of spiritual practice, and you can
Mm.
kind of say, oh wow, okay, now I think I really should dedicate myself more than I was
Ah.
previously because I just went through a bunch of suffering. And so I don't want that to happen anymore, and I feel like I know what the solution is,
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that's just an example where,
Mm.
that happens to us a lot in life,
Mm.
we go through a lot of periods of like healthy, unhealthy,
Mm.
healthy, unhealthy. We sort of ride that wave
Mm.
of the material existence.
Mm.
Um, and if at any point, when we reach one of those dips, if we can go, man, let's
Mm.
try to avoid one of these dips,
Mm.
Um, it's like yeah, I mean everything is just a call where
Mm.
we have that possibility, it's like that
Mm.
voice is always there sort of telling us
Mm.
um, sort of what the right course is.
Mm.
And we can choose
Mm.
to listen at any time.
Mm. Suppose we are in a room, like I'm in a room. I suppose this room is full of doors, and I know this door goes to Krishna. But I'm like, no, I want to open this door. Then I go there, and I don't want to go there. Then I come back. Then I want to go that door, but that door looks very attractive. I want to go that door and see what's in there. And I go, oh, no, 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 no. Again. So Krishna one by one closes the different doors by making us see what's inside those doors. And the more we see, the more we explore, the more we realize. Then we at the end we say, yeah, I think that's the best door. But in the beginning, it's like there's a lot of exploration. So let me explore. So we see that is also helping those wrong choices, also helping us to take the right direction. Still.
Well, we're very fortunate that, like you said, he's the most patient,
Mhm.
so we can open as many doors as we like. Yeah, before we come back to the other one.
And also, I have seen as we make more progress and more progress and more progress, the reaction for the same wrong choices we make become worse.
Mm, mm,
So if I am 1 year in Krishna consciousness, I make a wrong choice. I get some reaction. But if I'm five years in Krishna consciousness, I make the same wrong choice. I get a little bit more severe reaction. If I'm 15 years in Krishna consciousness and I make the same wrong choice again, then I get like way more severe reaction than somebody who is 1 year in Krishna consciousness and make that wrong choice. So Krishna is also very personal. There is no laws. Very personal. What medicine right now? What dose is needed? How much heavy dose is needed here? Because ultimately Krishna wants us to go to him fully. And he deals every individual in a very personal way of what it takes to bring these people to those laws. Those are only Krishna's laws.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, can we think of that, Prabhuji, as like, you progress in spirituality, your consciousness actually is raised. And so you can
Mm,
think of like you're getting to like a higher and higher platform, maybe. Like,
mm.
your consciousness is literally going up, it's getting higher. And that leaves more room to fall. If you're here and you make some mistake and it brings you down here. So it's like,
Already.
oh, it's not that much, right? But if you're all the way up here and you reach, the same mistake, it's just a longer and a harder fall then.
Mm, mm. And also, the more we grow, the more is expected out of us. Just like in a company, and somebody very reliable and they make a mistake. So the CEO says, I didn't expect this from you.
Mm.
But somebody who is a beginner who just joined, we don't give them bigger responsibility anyways. But if they give, then like he's learning. That's all. He's learning. But the person who is on a senior position, then he gets chastised actually. This is not expected out of you. How can you do this?
Mm.
Others just ignore. That's okay.
Yeah. And so in spiritual life, while there may be like, that external sort of reaction as well, like people in your community become disappointed or angry or whatever it may be, it's more of an internal reaction, right? Or it's like you feel it internally, right? Like that fall down, that bad
Yes.
reaction, like you just feel it
It can
in
manifest
there.
externally also.
Mm,
Like, have you heard about this story of this? Maybe this is the last thing. Lord Chaitanya, and there was, you may have heard, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma. His name was Amoga.
not sure if I've heard this one, Prabhuji.
Mm. And he basically spoke ill of Lord Chaitanya. And the reaction came to him, he contracted cholera disease. And he was at the verge of death actually. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to him and he told him, chant the name of Hari. And because it was Mahaprabhu's mercy, he immediately was delivered. His cholera was gone and he became self-realized and he started dancing and chanting in ecstasy and like fully purified. But the idea was a wrong choice may also lead to um, physical disease also, like in this case. One lecture I was hearing is like if we are there, as you said, then the first reaction is we fall from our spiritual position. But if somebody is already here, there is no way to fall from spiritual position because there is no spiritual position. Then it may manifest in physical forms also.
Mm, mm. Well, I guess all the more reason to listen to the good examples of our lives, right? Like, I mean, really, it's all the more reason to find those sincere souls and really try to like take their example. Find the people who are really going to lead you in the who you personally have the conviction are gonna, really can really lead you in a good direction,
Yeah.
right?
That's why we all have each other to help each other.
Mm,
We sustain ourselves in devotee association.
mm,
And all
yeah.
of them, when we see their enthusiasm, we feel like, oh, I must also do something now. Oh, I must be sincere also. But imagine if no devotees are there, how do we survive? Very hard, Prabhu. It may seem like, no, it's fine, I'll survive, but no, it's very hard. What gives us enthusiasm, motivation is sincere people. See, think about it. Taco Tuesday, we have program. How enthusiastic it is when every week there are many new people and many sincere people and many enthusiastic people. And how enthusiastic it is when there is one or two people and the talk is like fine. And if it's going on for a few weeks like that, every week, like not enthusiastic, and it's just becoming a routine to go tick, attendance done, come back, then what is our enthusiasm level to come back again? How eager we are in that practice. And that principle applies in any phase of devotional life. It is people who are enthusiastic, good example, like, yes, yes, let's do it. And we feel like, yeah, let's do it. It's so important to be surrounded by people who are enthusiastic.
Mm.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can give my own personal example. We go for morning program, morning meditation. There are many enthusiastic people, then keeps us motivated and going. But imagine you are there in 2 months. Like sometimes nobody comes. And then if you're a little late, that's fine. And it's okay. Anyways, alone, it's okay. Slowly, slowly relaxation comes. Isn't we give our best when we are surrounded by people?
Hmm.
For example, when we are sitting in a morning meditation with devotees, then we really want to give our best to hear. But maybe over a period of time, if we are doing in a lonely place, our meditation, maybe we'll be relaxed and maybe sleeping. If you're not very sincere, maybe a little bit relaxation may come. But when we are surrounded by people, then we really want to, when we see their example, then we are really like, no, I really want to give my best. And when we just give our best, it pays off. We experience something much deeper if we give our best. But then what makes us give our best is also the association, the good example that we have around us helps us to give our own best.
Mm. Yeah, I guess it's pe other people in the community can hold us accountable, right? Or we can, we end up naturally doing things for them.
Mm,
Um, I know I just heard Kalakanta Prabhu in a on a podcast that he was a guest on, and he talked about taking on disciples and how, you know, taking on disciples for him really helped with getting him to continue his practice and continue with enthusiasm and like to always want to keep progressing because he's now doing it for these disciples, right?
mm,
There's other people relying on him. He's also, conversely relying on them. And so when you have that relationship with people in your community, you're holding each other accountable
mm,
because you each have the other person's best interest at
mm,
heart, right? And you each have faith in that fact.
mm,
And so, that really helps create a really nice, like reciprocal relationship between two people, um, where, each person is really helping the other one. And, I know a lot of times you hear about like what one of the things that is really special about devotees in particular, one of the things that maybe sets them apart, um, from even from other spiritually seeking people is that, they're always trying to push other people up. And so it's like, it's not even trying to raise someone up with yourself. It's just trying to like lift somebody up, as much as possible. It doesn't really matter how low your own position is. It's just about trying to help other people. And
mm,
um, yeah, you
mm.
see people with that attitude, and it's very infectious.
Mm.
despite all the stuff going on in the mind,
Hmm.
all the anartas, say, or unwanted things, that are there, the
Hmm.
greed and pride and lust and envy. Despite all those things, I mean, you really encounter somebody who has that sincerity and is really like, looking to help other people. It's always about like trying to raise other people up. And yeah, it just makes you want to and it feels easy, right? It
Hmm.
doesn't feel difficult anymore when that you get that influence from that other
Hmm.
person.
I was hearing today morning, His Holiness Sadhana Swami Maharaj, and he was mentioning, you may have seen the post also. Pasati Prabhu sent it to me. Maharaj was mentioning, after so many millions and millions of lifetimes, we have this opportunity to associate with devotees. Such a fortune. Like if we see somebody send me a video with like the war between, I think, the way people are treated in Bangladesh and some wars going on, and it's like how people are beating and how they are like, literally like so much ignorance and like animals treating, and then having this opportunity of being surrounded by devotees and practicing spiritual life and practicing Krishna consciousness and such a loving relationship. And that's like Manas is like millions and millions of lifetimes to be in that community. That we have each other who are like trying to uplift in this ocean of material existence. Yes.
So yeah, it's a very special opportunity.
Mm.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right.
Mm, yeah.
Sounds good.
Feel good, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next week.